It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a lucky person. It's my third time here in Australia. Hope that you like this session, and Sarah invite me for next year again so I can come back and speak to you next year. So while I was preparing for this presentation, I came across this interesting news in Smithsonian magazine. Actually, it tells about a bunch of scientists in NASA in the 60s. They were collecting data from a probe that they sent to Mars, and they were analyzing the data that returned back on this probe. Basically, the probe was taking pictures of the landscape of the red planet, and the scientists got really excited to see how the landscape would be. But they didn't have at the time the softwares that we have to process all the data and to actually process the image. So they decided to do this by hand. So they created a scale out of the data that they were receiving, and with this scale, they framed some range of numbers to picture out what are the most dark colors in the image and what are the most lighter colors in the image. And they came across with painting by themselves a picture that would correspond to the landscape of Mars. So that was the first Mars landscape that they took. So they posted this into their labs, and they could have finally the first picture of the landscape of the red planet. So all of this to say one thing that resonated with me while I was preparing for this presentation. And I recorded this quote from William Edward Du Bois that says that when you have mastered numbers, actually, you're no longer going to read the numbers, the algorithms. You're going to relate to these numbers as we relate to words in a book. You don't specifically see the words in the book, but actually what you're getting from the book message are the meanings from these words. So that was a sentence that Edward Du Bois, he proposed in United States. He's a sociologist, and that relates a lot on what I'm going to talk to you today about data and how data can be useful to our businesses. So data, they represent information. They represent information when they are visualized, when they are crunched, when they are contextualized. And when they represent this information, actually humans, they can work on the data that they are getting. They can perform actions on this data. So what I'm going to bring today is the reason why businesses, they need data. And the answer to this is simple. It's to have actionability over the data. It's to make useful connection with the data that you're getting. But that's a really different task, because when we're thinking about getting data, that's one specific task. And when I was talking some days ago with a Gartner analyst, she says that businesses today, they still struggle with capturing data. It's still one major challenge with businesses. But I foresee another challenge for businesses, because getting data is just one small step into the journey of actually making this data useful and transforming the data into knowledge that is going to transform the way companies react to what customers are responding to their businesses. So there is one step that is collecting data, but if you don't use the data that you're collecting, actually what you're going to have is a lack of application of that data, and you're going to spend a lot of resources and not going to see the ROI of the collection of the data. So what I'm bringing here is the example on why and how we can get to actionable insights by using the data that we are collecting. Forrester, they did a recent research on big data, and they saw that there is a drop in analytic satisfaction. 21% of the companies that they interview said that they are not getting the results that they wanted with the data that they are collecting. Although 74% of these customers, of these interviewed companies, they wanted to foster a data culture in their organization. So they have the need for the data. They are sensitive to the use of the data. But from these customers, only 29% of them recognized that they were good at connecting data with actions in their companies. So Forrester coined the term insights-driven businesses. Businesses that were not only collecting data, but they were instrumenting their operations with the best use of that data. And they projected that these companies, they would grow at a rate of 30% per year and would reach by 2021 $1.8 trillion. Companies that were able to connect the data that they were collecting with meaningful use of this data. Bringing this back to our context, digital experiences is what we are providing to our customers in different moments of their journeys. What you see in this image is like a simplification of what a journey means to our customers. So 3 main steps on the journey. The moment where you're attracting customers, prospective customers, the moment where you are converting these prospects into real customers in your businesses, and when you're making these customers fall in love by your brand. So in these different moments of the journey, they are having contact with different channels, with different ways to communicate with your brand. So how can you capture data from these different moments and make use and the best use of this data? So that's what I came here to talk about. What type of actions can be performed based on data? Actionable insights is where we are moving in, and the first type of action that you can get out of the data is to have personalized experiences. So let me show you a brief introduction to how personalized experiences can help you. So directing the right message to the right person at the right time. That's all what Liferay has been talking about since the past 3 years. And here is one example of how this can be achieved. So this is a video of how the personalization is working with Liferay DXP 7.2 and how Analytics Cloud is connecting to the tools that we have in 7.2 to make personalization happen. So in here, we have a commerce site, actually a website that has messages for a public, an audience interested in commerce, and a general website for general people that is not segmented when they are reaching that specific address. Now you can see that I'm using inline capabilities in DXP to change the experience when the audience comes to that website. And when you saw, here I have 2 different experiences. One experience targeted for a general audience and one experience targeted for one particular type of customer that is interested on commerce. So this is very seamless. Analytics Cloud syncs all the segment information that I have stored in Analytics Cloud within DXP, and DXP can use the segments information to recognize who is that audience and drive to them the right message that I prescribed before. So the idea is to deliver the right message at the right moment, through the right channel, to the right person. Analytics Cloud is enhancing the capabilities of DXP. Actually, in Analytics Cloud, we have something called topics of interest. That doesn't work only for logged users. We can track anonymous users, and based on what they are seeing on the websites, we can drive what are the topics of interest that that segment of people and these people have, and we can inject that information back on DXP for personalized experiences. But that's not the only thing that I came to talk about. So personalized experiences is one step to put data into action. But what I'm here to talk mostly is about digital experimentation. So after so much time, we finally have leveraged in Liferay and delivered to our customers A/B testing. So now you can count on DXP 7.2 SP1 on features regarding A/B testing. And Analytics Cloud is a key player to make this happen. So I brought some use cases just to leverage on why we should be doing digital experimentation with our customers. So there is this particular brand called Cancer Researcher UK, this institution in UK. They have at about, they have a website. In this website, they have an about section. That this about section can actually drive 25 million visitors per year. That's a big number. So their website plays a key role in their conversion to receive donations for their research. And they have granted the last year 30 million pounds in online fundraising. So they were looking for enhancing on this channel and still getting a lot of donations from it. So they were with a campaign of donations, so they have an original website, and they were trying to test if they were going to get better results with the variant site. So this is the very classic case of A/B testing, when you have two competing variants, and you want to measure which one is going to turn more engagement or more sales from your customers. In this case, engagement and donations. So the variation got an impressive result of 204% of improvement in the CTRs in that site, and they got 25 million increase in email fundraising for that specific moment, just because they used a variation. So they could perform other tests, and they could continuously test in that. So I'm going to bring another case from Netflix. This is a little bit more complex, how Netflix is using A/B testing to compare how their users are engaging or not with the content that they make available. So this is basically Netflix. This information comes from their Medium blog. So you can access online. After the presentation, I can direct you the link to have access to this information. Basically, Netflix, before, they didn't have any kind of special arts for their catalog. So Stranger Things would compete just in title with other types of content that they had in their catalog. And this was an what they were talking in this blog. Customers would be gone in 90 seconds if they didn't get engaged with a title in their catalog. They were going to engage with other activities, maybe offline activities, or even other online activities outside Netflix. So the problem is, if you don't capture that people's attention, they are gone, and you're going to lose their engagement. Therefore, they're not going to see the value of your product, and you're going to lose in the long run audience. And they had some guesses. Is it related to how we show the content to our customers? Is it related to how the right content is shown to these people? So should we have more text? Should we have more image to engage these people? These are the guesses that they had. So their goal is actually, how can we make it easy for people, for our members, to evaluate if a piece is interest for them to quickly access it. That's the goal. And they set up an experiment. Will we be able to improve the experience? And that's actually a hypothesis that they are testing, right? So basically, improving images that they are displaying on their catalog, will that increase the engagement from their customers? Yes or no? So they started testing this. And they created a rule in which they would test different images for different audiences. When people are logged, when people are not logged, they're going to see different image catalogs for different titles. So that poses a really different use of A/B testing in their catalog. So they advanced on the tests that they were doing, and getting the results of getting something like people. So the result is on the utmost right of yours, that's the catalog final image. But depending on the person's interest, if that person is interested in romance, should we display some more romantic image in the catalog for that specific movie? Or if that person is interested in comedy, should we represent in the image someone that links to the idea of having a lightful comedy, cheerful image in our catalog? Or something like, should we, based on a fan attribution, like someone that likes very much of Uma Thurman, display Pulp Fiction facing or casting Uma Thurman as the actress that is starring in that film, or someone who is fan of John Travolta. So these are the tests that they are performing, and I would confess that this is breaking some of the patterns that we have in our industry. So if you remember, television shows producers, they're in the past most concerned about traditional media, like preparing images to be displayed in billboards, or even on ads in TV, or even catalogs in DVD boxes and things like that. So they are online testing all the catalogs that they have and collecting the information on what works better for their audience. So that plays into what key role Analytics Cloud and DXP are playing on the experimentation. And I would like to pitch the idea of, we are very familiar on what DXP can provide to our businesses. We can build experiences, manage those experiences, and deploy them, deliver these experiences. And Analytics Cloud is playing the role of measuring what are the interactions that customers are having when they get in contact with these experiences. By that, you can learn, and ultimately, you can optimize these experiences. So what I'm bringing here is how that works in DXP and Analytics Cloud. What you're going to see is, by DXP 7.2's SP1 version, you're going to have this section called Tests, where you can set up a test in DXP. So in this experience, what we are going to change, we are going to try to attract people with a different experience and try to measure what are they going to be most interested about in this fictitious insurance company. So in here, we can select what kind of segment is going to have access to this experiment, and we can do it. Let me fast forward the video. We can select the audience that we have, and this audience is being selected, of course, being synced with Analytics Cloud. So all the segment information is being collected in Analytics Cloud, and can use that information both for named individuals or even individuals that are not logged into your portal to track and define these segments. So you can split the tests between the segments, the multiple segments that you have in your business. So after selecting the audience, you select a goal that you want to measure. In this case, we are going to select a click rate into this specific button that we have into this experience. I want to measure if that button is going to have more clicks or less clicks, depending on what I'm going to present to my audience. So let me fast forward here. I'm going to use the capabilities in DXP 7.2 to alter the behavior of that specific button. So in here, I'm changing the copy of that button, and then I'll change the color. I'll create the experiment, and that experiment is going to appear all the information inside DXP. Actually, this is happening in DXP, but all the things that you're doing in DXP is synced with the cloud, and Analytics Cloud will see all the experiment that's going on here. So as I was saying, we changed the copy, and then I changed the color of the button to test if a more highlighted color will drag more attention of my audience. In the end, what I have here is a summary of what is going on with this test. So I can see that the call to action variation, which is in orange, we will split the audience 50-50. So the DXP instance will automatically drive 50% of the people that belongs to that segment to one control or to the other variant. And of course, we can control the level of confidence of this application, and that infers into how many days this test is going to run and give the results. So after this, we are going to have in Analytics Cloud, we run the test, we are going to follow up the results of what's going on with the test. So the experimentation at this time is running, so I have no audiences coming to my website yet. It was recently published, but then I'm going to start seeing the results. In this case, the test completion is by 33%. It is remaining 7 days, and then in the end, I can see the results of the test, and I can get a full report of what's going on with my experience. I can see which experience is recommended as the winner and which one is not working for that specific audience. So right now, we have available in Analytics Cloud two metrics that we are following up. So we have the bounce rate and we have the click rate. But we will be adding other metrics as long as we are improving the product. So Analytics Cloud was launched last year in September 2018. We were a measurement system. Now, in 2019, after 1 year, we are able to be this customer experience optimization system with multi-dimensional personalization and having A/B testing enclosed with Analytics Cloud. Also, we are investing in smart recommendation that will give you access to what your customers are experiencing, what are the patterns of data that they have been presenting, and you can use that data to start recommending content to these customers. In the future, we are moving this to a customer experience intelligence system, which we will be enclosing AI and machine learning advanced algorithms in Analytics Cloud to crunch the data and give you suggestions and give more advanced automated experiences with what we are providing with Analytics Cloud. So here is one case study that we have. One telecom company that purchased the Analytics Cloud in Latin America. And I'm going to demonstrate what are the key KPIs and what are the uses that they are going to do with the data that we are providing with our product. So one, they have one challenge. They want to keep the acquired customer base that they have. They want to avoid churn, that one big challenge for telecom companies, and they have results of at least 3.8% of customer churn per month. And that actually represents a big threat in their businesses. Specifically on prepaid customers, they are renovating their customer base every 2 years. What that indicates is that 100% of all the efforts that they had to acquire this customer base, in 2 years they are losing all the acquired customers. So they are basically working to lose customers in 2 years. So what they're doing is, one key strategy that they have is to establish and manage a network of partners that would give them capillarity to attend these customers inside the country that they are operating. One big challenge that they have is how can we keep the communication with these partners in a very close way. So they have a very dynamic environment, so they have offers almost every week, different offers to their customers, and they have a very rough communication challenge with these customers. So one of the things that they want is to guarantee that these partners, they have focus on the main strategies of the company. Second one, they want that strategy that they have defined very specifically for very defined segments of their partners that work with retail, that would work with enterprise customers. They be aligned with the strategies that the company have. And they want to understand which partners are engaged and consuming the communication that they are sending through their portal experience. Finally, they want to measure what are the results that they are getting with these different campaigns that they are targeting for their partners. So that's where, when we have actionable insights, they want to first map and report what are the partners' engagement, establish a relevant communication with them by offering content that is targeted to each one of the profiles that these partners have, and perform a digital experiment to actually test what's going to work better, who is going to engage more if I offer some different content to them. They are using Analytics Cloud, and we are going to start collecting the results of what they are getting. So they are one early adopters of our product. And by here, I want to add some challenges that we have when we are turning data into actions in our businesses. First one, of course, we have to integrate different data sources from different sources of data that we have in our company. Second one, the definition of segments of audience. It's really important to understand what are the people that I want to reach out with my strategies. Third one, how can I clearly visualize the data that I'm getting into my system and understand the context of the data? In here, there is something very important that we are going to see more and more in our industry, which is bias. So how can I eliminate bias out of the data that I'm getting from our customers? How can I understand the context which this data is being produced? What do these numbers represent? What they account for? And where they are coming from. Fifth one, that's the base of experimentation, is to formulate hypotheses. So how can we understand if we introduce something different in our website, if we are getting more or less conversion from our customers? Sixth one, establish an optimization plan. What are the strategies that we have to gather better results, and how can we measure that? And finally, break the data silos that we have in our organization. True tech revolutions happened when we had the internet, where you had information by the click of the hand, and when you have personal computers inside homes. So my pitch for today is that true revolution will happen in our businesses when we have democratization of the data. It's when not only data scientists will be the privileged ones to have analysis about customer data, but when that data can reach out to our operation and everyone in the company can have access to that data. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and talking to you.